Hey guys, welcome to another video. For today's video, we are going to be looking at pre-built Office PCs. So, searching Facebook Marketplace, you will tend to come across a lot of Office PCs. So for today's video, we're going to look at one Office PC in particular and going through what you would need to build it into a gaming PC. You can pick them up in terms of pricing anywhere from 2,000 Rand all the way up to 5,000 Rand on the second-hand market. They range from 4th gen Intel all the way up to 12th gen, and for today's video we are going to be looking at a PC called a Vostro, DELL Vostro. DELL Vostro tends to have 12th gen in it, so every time they have a new generation, CPU generation, then they upgrade the name. So let's have a look at our DELL Vostro. So you can pick them up new at the moment. If you have a look at macro, they're going for, this one in particular is going for about 12,000 Rand, which is a little bit pricey. You can also have a look at EveTech for a similar spec unit. You're looking at about 6,500 Rand. So this model is the DELL Vostro 3910. It comes with a Intel Core i3 12100, 8 gigs memory. It's capable of running 3200 megahertz RAM speed. Came complete with a SSD, 256 gigabyte SSD with DVD drive, and already installed with Windows 11 Pro. So mid-tower, pretty small little machine. Okay, so now when it comes to specs on the PC, there are a little bit of setbacks when you're looking at a type of computer like this. First of all is the power supply. It only comes with a 180 watt power supply, so you're limited in terms of graphics cards in order to turn it into a bit of a gaming PC. It does come with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so which is pretty good. In terms of the SSD, the storage is pretty small, but adding in a additional storage is fairly easy and fairly straightforward. For the RAM, it's got 8 gigs RAM and it's a single stick. We are going to add another. In terms of upgradability, you can upgrade the CPU on it from the i3. The only problem is you would need to upgrade the cooler. So it does become a little bit tricky dealing with something like this, but the i3 will be perfectly suited for what we're trying to build at the moment. In terms of the motherboard is proprietary, and so is the power supply, so you're basically almost impossible to upgrade those things. You can probably upgrade the power supply, but you would have to find another Dell PC in order to do that, so not really worth the time. The power supply is only 12 volts, and the motherboard itself does convert the 12 volts into 5 volts in order to supply power to SSDs and that type of thing. You wouldn't be able to change out the motherboard, so you're pretty much stuck with this type of thing. But in terms of the form factor, this one specifically is pretty small, pretty decent looking little thing. So for the upgrading, let's have a look at some components and what we're going to need to turn this into a full-fledged gaming PC. So firstly, for storage, you can go ahead and upgrade the SSD. It is an NGFF SSD M.2, but we're going to leave the SSD the same. It is a Gen 4 SSD, so we're going to leave it exactly the same. What we're going to do is we are going to add a hard drive to it. So simple hard drive. You can also add an additional SSD to it, but to keep the budget down a little bit, we're going to go for a straightforward Seagate 500 gig Barracuda. This is a 7,200 RPM drive, so it's a pretty quick drive, but this is going to be for game storage, so it's not going to cause too much of a problem. And you can pick these up for like 100 Rand on the second-hand market. Just make sure that you check properly, because sometimes you can pick up some old ones that are on their way out. You can have a look at software called HD Sentinel, hard drive Sentinel, HD Sentinel. Download that, you can run it on the PC, and you'll be able to check the status of the drive. For the graphics card, because we're only running on a 180 watt power supply, we're going to need something that doesn't need supplementary power. So for the graphics card, we're looking at a GTX, and this is the tough card, the GTX tough card, a 1650. And the reason for looking at this card is because it doesn't need additional power, so it can get everything from the motherboard. So it'll pull 75 watts, fairly decent for a budget system, but the main reason for it is because it doesn't need any additional power. The card is a 2.5 slot card, so pretty big, pretty stock cooler, or more on the budget end, full aluminium cooler, so pretty decent. Plastic shroud back and front. For the display outs, you've got a single DVI, you've got HDMI and display port. In terms of GTX 1650s, you can buy them new. I managed to pick this one up for 1,700, and new, they range anywhere from 4,000 all the way up to 6,000 Rand. So not bad GPUs. Second-hand market's still kind of the way to go. I will have some new ones linked down in the description, so if you're keen on picking one up, you can have a look at those. And a pretty decent little card. More on the esports side of gameplay. So CS:GO, your standard esports games, it'll run pretty well. I'm still busy running through testing, so we'll be able to test it for Warzone and see if it'll actually run Warzone. A bit of a tricky one to say, but a few of the games we've tested, it runs pretty well. Apart from that, what we'd also need to look at is upgrading the memory. So we've got 8 gigs, we've got a 3200 megahertz 8 gig stick of RAM inside the PC, and I managed to pick up a second 8 gig stick. This is actually from Takealot for 299 Rand, so very good deal on a 8 gig stick of RAM. And then lastly, just to give the PC a bit of a look, a ARGB LED strip. It has got ventilation on the side of the PC and on the front, so lights it up a little bit. And then I've also gone ahead and put some Gundam graphics all over the PC just to make it look a little bit nicer.